Tell another dad brag.
Tell her what?
Another dad brag.
Oh, I don't have any today.
No.
Oh, my daughter is trying out tennis and she loves it. I know your daughter's a pro.
Oh, really? She's playing. Oh, good.
She just started taking lessons.
Where at school or at the park down there?
Some private dude. She and one of her good friends. I have no idea.
Semi-privates. Her and another girl.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, the going rate on that should be about between $40 and $60.
Less than that.
Good. Okay.
Yeah. Well, $50 total for the group for the two
so 25 each.
Yeah.
That's I was kind of saying 40 to 60 as to split. No, that's good, man. It's a fun. There's so much tactics and strategy involved, and when you're young, you're fearless, and it's a great game for just kids to stay in shape. Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of it. So
absolutely. All right.
I always thought I was good, but then I see all these South Florida kids, because South Florida is the most competitive tennis district. Region 8 or District 8, Region 8 is the most competitive in the world. Wow. So the other ones in the U.S., obviously Southern California, Austin area, Texas, IE has good players, and then a little bit up in New York. So she's in the good spot. Did you see that guy?
The only American left, or the only American that was left in the Open.
TFO?
Yeah. I didn't know his story. That's a fascinating
amazing story. I met him, dude. He's like friends with he came up. My daughter plays at JTCC sometimes in the summer. They have it's a really intensive here's a free plug for them. JTCC in College Park, Maryland, which is where university is, Maryland is. They were very intensive. A Goldman Sachs guy, retiree, about 25 years, dropped a bunch of money on. They built a tennis center that trains a lot of inner city kids, disadvantaged kids, along with the best kids in the country come there a lot in the summer to brawl. And so that's where my daughter comes and meets. But this is where what's her name? I want to say Robbie Humphrey. There's a gal who's playing ITF, and she's about 15 now. She's really good, and she's coming up out of there. Well, TFO, his dad was like the maintenance guy there. They have Clay.
Yeah, that's how he got in.
Yeah, Sierra Leone dude. And so TFO and his brother, I think his name is Sean, who plays at Salisbury State. They both grew up there, doing they'd have an in-person school or online education there. And they just place kids everywhere, full scholarships, and they're really good players. It's probably the best to me, the best high performance center. Now, I don't know California well, but outside of Florida, because it brings everybody from the Midwest to Northeast there to brawl, and it has a nice kind of inner city component that's bringing people up that want to learn how to play. So in tennis, you got two things. You got people that told their kids to play, and then you got kids that wake up one day and said, I want to be a tennis player. Right. Well, that's kind of what these kids are. They're the ones that wake up and go, I want to be a tennis player, but they weren't on the court at 3. They're jumping on at 7 and 8, and they're busting their butts. So I'm so proud of these guys. And, when I saw him play he's the one I told you about that I was at the Miami Open, and his dad comes up, who's like a dreadlocked Sierra Leone dude. And he's like, yeah, my son's playing Federer today. And everybody looks, and, Francis had won the qualifier. And so he was playing the 1 seed. Now he lost 6-4, 6-3, I think, or something like that. He didn't get blown out, but it weren't like big tiebreaker battles. But still, the guy's a good guy, and he deserves it. I'm very happy for him.
That's awesome. Well, yeah, the story was just amazing. Joe Pompliano, who's somebody great to follow if you like sports at all. And I'm not.
Is he related to Pomp?
Yeah, brother.
Oh, okay.
And he does the show with Pomp, but he does these threads on sports business. That's his field, sports business. And he did this awesome thread, telling the story about his father working construction on that tennis center. And then he got a job as a janitor. Then he and his 2 sons slept in the office. The guy who built it or whatever let them
Ray
sleep.
Benson.
Yeah. Let them sleep in the office on tables every night because their mother worked nights or something. Just an incredible story. I'll put the link in.
That guy, it's either Roy or Ray Benton, and I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but you go in the office and he's an older guy, and it's really interesting because he was the one who signed Jordan out of college, Michael Jordan. He's also the one who set up the Virginia Slims tour, which is kind of funny, a tobacco sponsor for a tennis tournament, but the women's tour basically. And, you see these meetings on the pictures on his wall of him at the table with like Everett and Billie Jean King and then the sponsors. And it's all the dudes are smoking and drinking martinis, and then the athletes are there. So it's a really funny history, but the guy is just so nice, super bright. I think it was what was the big, not IMG, there was another big sports agency, which basically, maybe it was IMG, but he was basically one of the founding guys there. Landed. I mean, anybody who lands Jordan is going to be a player at whatever agency they're at that point. So it's just an all-around great story. And I just, and the kids there, and it's a mix of, it's like my ideal world. It's a mix of like less fortunate kids and kids that have everything. Yeah. And they get together and brawl. That's awesome. It's just an awesome thing. So cool. JTCC .org, I think. But anyhow, just Google JTCC.
So James is annoyed because today I released this really pretty epic interview with Publius, the founder of one of the founders of Beanstalk Farms, and going in depth with kind of the experience they experienced with the growth of the protocol and the exploit, and then the path forward, and some really amazing shit that's being built on top of it. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago that this new project called Root Protocol, I think, raised $9 million to build on top of Bean. And to me and to him, that's a really strong validation of the entire Beanstalk Farms protocol, is that VC said, hey, here's $9 million to build a tool, a product on top of Beanstalk Farms. And we get into, he's another one of these, I don't know what it is with the stablecoin guys, but the Sam Kazemians and these guys, they're all just fucking brilliant, like just brilliant dudes. And we get into, why a good stablecoin is so important, how they can integrate into the real world, how Bean makes it easier to integrate into the world. All in all, it was just a fantastic interview. And look, I got a chunk of money in there. And I'm excited about what Nibblets just asked, what's your take on the future? I'm actually excited. Look, I'm concerned about the size of the debt, but when projects are building on top of it, I feel really excited about it. And I think, look, it's a factor of biz dev, integrations, getting the product used, getting Bean out there used in other protocols and in the real world. And that'll drive, through that debt. So yeah, I think it's too big, but I'm excited.
Now, I don't know this play as well as you do, or as you guys do, but look, anytime a VC backed, who's the VC for Publius? The $9 million funder?
No, there's no VC in Beanstalk. It's the protocol is called Root Protocol.
Oh, Root Protocol is where the VC is. Okay, so to get that deployment on this protocol means that the investment board at that VC fund has to believe in the long-term longevity of this project. Yeah. So to me, that's an endorsement. So, because the seed funders would not allow it.
Nima, Soma, Manifest, and Road Capital all invested in the round.
Yeah, I don't really know them, but still.
No, they're all Nima's big, and so is Soma. And Manifest, I know somewhat, but not as much as those two.
Yeah, I'm not that up on all of these funders, but still, that's a vote of confidence in Bean. Otherwise, they would say, great idea, but let's think about somebody who has a little bit more stability. I think that Bean, by their actions post their hassle hack thing from ways back, or whatever that issue was with them, the way they responded has given them a lot of credibility in the market.
Hey, Eamon says they did raise the money pre-exploit, I believe. I don't know. They announced it in July. So maybe they raised it before that and just didn't announce it, but I don't know. I don't know. Right. But I do know they announced it post exploit. So
yeah. Well, I think it's
believe,
good for being either.
Yeah,
way.
look, it's
obviously if they communicate. Oop, I lost Brad. Obviously, if they communicate back out that, oh, we're pulling out of that deal, well, then that's another thing. But I look at it as a huge positive.
Yeah,
because those guys aren't sitting there just rolling money out the door today.
And the way they're using the protocol is what's really cool about it. So I want to encourage everybody to give a listen to the show. If nothing else, if you have no interest in Beanstalk Farms, it's a fascinating interview with a founder and the experience that they've gone through. So if you're a founder in the space, you're investing in other protocols, this is a group, especially him, that are really practicing the ethos. We kind of really dug deep into why they came forward with this. When the protocol launched, there were 100 Bean. There was no funding. They built it, they put it out there, and it just worked, right? And so, yeah, I think there's some risks here. This is not financial advice, but I took some of that sweet 500%, interest on that debt on that restart round. So
really?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You went for the 500%?
Well, yeah, because it's not an APY.
No, I'm being sarcastic. I'm saying, yeah, of course you did, right?
It's like it's not even, it's not staking. It's all I have to do is wait for this debt to get eaten through, right? And so, yeah, it might take a while, but at the end of it, there's a 500% gain, and then I put in more at like 236%. So, from my perspective, my own opinion, not advice, it's a good deal. And here's the thing, and the topic, one of the things we talked about is the amount of interest earned in Beanstalk Farms for the replant is decreasing every day. But here's the way to look at it. Once it gets down to like the minimum is 20% on the replant, on the fertilizer you can buy. Once it gets down to that, when the debt starts getting eaten away and integrations start happening with the protocol, there are going to be people that jump in on 20%, because then that flip on buying that debt is going to be, a couple of weeks or a couple of months. And a lot of folks are going to say to themselves, wow, 20% gain in a couple of months. I'll take that. Right. So, Eamon says it's down there now. I haven't looked today. I haven't looked recently. So, it's already down to 20%. So anyway, great interview. If I do say so myself, he's just I really like their attitude, ethos, and approach. You know me, I dive into these kind of radically decentralized, let's make this thing work experiment protocols. So
absolutely. No, that's why I love how you found Canto and you find all these different things. So
Niblets,
awesome.
I asked this hard question in the interview. I said I asked him about the dependency on USDC, and I told him that's what I was worried about, and for them and in general. So we talk about it. So definitely listen. And James, yeah, man, sorry to deploy that just before the show, but it'll still be there. This is live. So thanks for listening.
Well, I mean, look, they're US guys, right? Or US people. Okay.
Yeah, so, they doxed themselves after the exploit because everyone was accusing them of rugging. Yeah.
So maybe that's why, they're more on the USDC side. Maybe. Wait, what is this? Going to attack USDC directly?
What?
So what were you talking about in this issue? You just talked about this. You said in an interview about USDC and Bean.
Well, so we talked about the fact that the blacklist capabilities of USDC and the amount of how much the hold of USDC is on the entire market. Every stablecoin, everything is dependent on USDC. So that was one of the big questions I asked him was how are you getting out of this? And what's the way forward for all of DeFi in general regarding USDC? So he had some really interesting answers, and I'll let everybody listen to.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Let's pick up on that.
Let's not blow the tease.
That's what
episode is that? I plugged your Sam Kazmian episode today.
I appreciate that. I saw that. Yeah. This is episode 71. I've done 71 of these things. I've got 2 more still in the pipeline to come out in the next week. And then, you and I are on episode 192.
I saw DeFi that, launch. Man. I was like, wasn't it just 100?
It's fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts. So I have now done with both shows 263 freaking shows. And now I'm rich and famous.
There you go. Let's whip up that margarita blender. Salt or no
So
salt?
Market's looking good, dude.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. I tried to find what it was about. I couldn't find anything out there. I mean, macro or crypto. And
it's probably
I don't know, man. Maybe it's Friday. Maybe everybody kind of woke up, got back from, over the Labor Day weekend hangover, and everybody started doing shit yesterday. I have no idea, but it's just surprising. I'd like to see some data on where is the buying New York buying, or
weren't there some speeches or something yesterday?
There seems to be speeches like every day.
I know.
Oh, maybe it was the no, that's not ready yet. This is only the 9th. I was thinking maybe it was the inflation print.
Yeah.
But that's the 13th, I believe. Macro
Bitcoin bottom as daily gains top 9% for BTC USD on the Wall Street Open.
Yeah, look, all the news everywhere is about the Queen Elizabeth, of course.
Maybe that's why everybody's happy. Oh, sorry.
But I don't know why. There was some scam going on where like some people were launching tokens. What were they called? The Regal token or whatever. Called Queen. No, it was called Queen. But it was RIP. Some company RIP. Rest in peace. And so there's just all kinds of nonsense. But I don't know. Maybe that's not why everything would rally, of course. But maybe that's why I'm not finding it.
Well, somebody's calling the bottom, and I guess there's a bunch of TA traders going, yeah, it's got to be the bottom. It's got to be the bottom. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, when it moves, when you see that buy spike, you're just like, wow.
Yeah, but I'll take that. And look, Bitcoin is taking back some of the ground it's been losing over the last week to Ethereum. So, took a 4% notch over Ethereum's gain in the last 24 hours. So, look, I like the battle.
You did see that the Ukrainians captured the top Russian commander of
the highest ranking commander captured in Russia since World War II.
Yeah.
Since World War II.
And so, of course, you see him surrounded by his staff, and and who goes after him? It's all the Russian military bloggers and all the far right Russians. They're like, dude, you're supposed to die. Yeah. You're not supposed to get captured.
Yeah.
And I'm
these guys, dude, I've been watching this a lot lately with this, the Kherson Oblast offensive. And it's fascinating because I'm sure they're taking losses. I'm sure people are dying. But the Ukrainian military just between the communications, what happened there, Joe? We lost you.
I don't know. Maybe it was me. Yeah, it locked up for some reason.
Between the communications, the strategic onslaught, having our weapons, I just think they're doing a great job. I'm excited for them. And I have heard there's some real horror stories coming out about the Russians beating and murdering POWs.
Look, they're fighting a medieval war. All right. And it's not the same. You can still see me, right? Because I'm losing my laptop side.
Unfortunately. Yeah,
unfortunately. But, you just go to, I was talking to someone about this at breakfast. And, look, you think about why in anybody's right mind would you create a mortal friggin' enemy 200 miles or so from Moscow of 30 million people that are now going to hate you for 100 friggin' years.
Exactly.
And are going to become it just.
Oh, we lost Joe. Yeah. What do we want to talk about now? Here he comes. Damn. I was just about to go off and tell all your secrets. Oh, there he is. Now you're back. Hello, Joe.
Yeah, I'm just having, I don't know what the deal is. It must be my internet right now, but it's like almost if we got all riled up at Canada and invaded Canada. And, Canadians get all pissed off at us. And then all of a sudden our like similar type of people are all pissed at us for 100 years. It makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
I get it is for domestic consumption. He's trying to maintain a domestic brand that's not linked to his international brand, but I mean, this is just a blunder. And they obviously do not have the capability to prosecute this.
It's incredibly how bad they've done. I mean, and here's the thing. It really shouldn't be that incredible because Americans have done the same shit, right? we think we're going to go in and stomp heads, and instead we get our ass handed to us, or at least we get into some protracted bloodbath that does nobody any good. And we do it over and over again. Like, it's not like, you know, the last one we had success was the first Iraq, and we learn, and Bush Senior, of all, I never thought I'd say this, Bush Senior was right, but Bush Senior was right? He was like, let's just stop here. We got our victory. We got what we wanted. Let's get the fuck out. Right. But then Junior goes in and puts us in this total mess. Obviously it was a victory, but it really wasn't a victory because now we have more people hating us in the Middle East. But I mean, here's, well,
the difference, the key difference there, Brad, is in all those situations where you have tribal societies or sectarian wars, and I mean sectarian Shia versus Sunni, sure. Islam versus Hindu, whatever, anything you got that, you can't win that fight. You just pick one and elevate them to rule the other. That's the only thing you could ever do. Or you just say, fuck it, let them do what they're going to do. I don't think those are winnable. And so to me, we always, in those that we've blundered into, and of course, Vietnam would be the first one. And we supposedly learned lessons that we applied to Iraq 1, but then we forgot all those lessons.
Yep.
And I get it. It was post 9/11. You want to pay back. And the Afghanistan stuff early made sense, but I never thought that was going to turn into a giant nation building program, because you cannot build nations in these countries. Like,
oh my God, especially Afghanistan. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Iraq too, same thing. I mean, to me, again, and I have total respect for anybody that goes and fights and risks their life to do stuff. So I'm not talking about anybody. I'm talking about policy. But, Iraq too was set up with the minimal amount of people so that it could get approved. But that amount of troops was not enough to occupy the country. So 150,000, I think, was what they went with, where in Persian Gulf 1, they went with about, 700,000? Because you got to be able to lock it down and occupy it. And they couldn't get 500,000 troops approved. Right. So they had to go with the light version. And, they won. They won that. But, to win and build a nation is two different things.
And Ukraine, it was a total friggin' mess.
Yeah, but Ukraine,
50,000 dead people.
Ukraine is like Germany and Japan. They are unique, homogenous cultures. Okay, there are not multiple tribes in these countries. Okay, they have a history, they have a brand, they have a culture, and those are the ones when you put or encourage parliamentary democracies and a fairer based economy that really excel. And so to me, that's why I think this is the story of the next 50 years to me. What does Ukraine turn into? And is it a Europe in the middle of Central Asia, basically around the edges of Central Asia? Sorry. And I think that's yes. Now, the real win though here for me is that you got to think of what the objectives here, and this is where we always kind of mess up. My objective or my goal wish list, and I'm not saying this is easy to implement, is a parliamentary democracy in Russia. I'm a real one, and it being a member of the EU and a member of NATO. That's what I'd like to see. Not in an occupying sense, but the Russian people deserve a European country. They don't deserve to be enslaved like this and now sold off to the Chinese to become their vassal. It's ridiculous. So that's what I want to see. And, it's not about going in and winning wars. It's about building a world where those types of wars don't get initiated. I mean, say what you want about Persian Gulf Wars and the Americans. It's like, everybody knew we were coming. And there was a reason for it. Saddam invaded Kuwait in the first one. The Afghan, 9/11. Iraq, well, that was a bit of a stretch, Iraq too. But,
that was a lie.
Yeah, but let's just say it was looped into 9/11. Now, I'll say that was a war of choice in my mind, which I don't believe in those either. But everybody knew they were coming. The Ukraine did nothing for this.
Right.
So that's why I'm so want to see them succeed. And the Russian people too. I mean, you don't deserve this either. You know,
That's right.
so maybe this is a transition point where all of a sudden Russia turns into a Germany or a France or a UK or something or a Sweden.
That's
You know, if we can get that, that's the
a
win
big dream, but
but the
you're going to
40-year
have a
fight,
wholesale beheading of that country.
well, I mean, Putin has to go basically for that to all
Well,
work.
not just Putin though. You've got a whole group of people who figured out how to run a government from him, right?
Yeah, but one of those guys will be opportunistic and will say, okay, I can do this. Putin light. You know, and then they're going to say, get behind me, whomever, and everybody, foreigners, I mean, and they'll be, yeah, let's support this guy. And then he'll be president. He'll be good for a while, and then he'll keep the power. I mean, that's just what these countries do, unless you have checks and balances, which is a total mess, but it's the only thing that seems to work. I mean, I don't know. It's really interesting when you look at sort of DAOs and how, you know, and then you look at democracy in the context of how Plato looked at democracy, and you look at the problem in DAOs now, and it's really similar.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, I think there's a lot of case studies in government into how we can make these DAOs actually work properly. And that's why I've kind of been, you know, kind of digging deep in that right now. So that's where I want everything to go. Now,
cool.
I'm just, you know, there's a 39-year-old white guy here. So,
hey, Canto's having their first hackathon online from October 1st to the 21st. 300,000 Canto as prizes. Those of you out there building, visit thecoh.build. Thecoh.build. If you want to join in, launch something there, get some money, and of course, they currently have they're launching the percent of gas fees thing that's coming. So there'll be an opportunity to earn as well from your protocol if you deploy it on the blockchain. Glad to see this. Scott Lewis asked me to participate, I assume as judge, mentor or something. So looking forward to being a part of that. What else do I have? That's that. Oh, Feds claw back 30 million of cryptocurrency stolen by North Korean hackers. Yeah, I saw this yesterday. You brought this one, Joe.
Yeah, I think what was interesting here to me was more Tornado Cash stuff, but just the extent. I mean, when you look at just how they're doing it, and then can you put that article up, please? And, you know, FBI is attributing it all.
Shit, I'm not sharing. I didn't realize I wasn't sharing. Why did that happen?
I don't know. Oh, maybe when the screens were bouncing in and out.
That's weird.
But if you pull that up and scroll down, it has the whole scheme of North Korea's typical DeFi laundering technique. I don't know really if this is, I mean, I don't know if I'd call this DeFi laundering.
Oh, so they double mix it. So they send it to wallets, hold it there a bit, put it to Tornado Cash, then they swap for Bitcoin after it's washed, and then they mix it. And they mix the Bitcoin, and then they deposit the Bitcoin from there to crypto to fiat for the cash out.
So they're eventually, I think they could do it now. They're eventually going to be able to backtrace everything from crypto to fiat all the way through to the origination.
Right.
And so even no matter if you run it through thousands of wallets, they're going to be able to figure it out. So
of course,
I mean, if you're a pariah state like North Korea, who cares, right?
Right.
You don't really care what anybody thinks. But if you're like, you know, some hacker in, I don't know, Iceland, you know, you might, I'm not picking on Iceland. I just thought of them out of the top of my head because I was talking about it. But anybody, you know, they're eventually going to be able to find you. So yeah, you got to think this through a lot if you're doing stolen.
Well, and that's what we talked about with Europol coming out yesterday and saying, hey, guess what, folks? The blockchain's actually good for us. Right? When we want to enforce against financial crimes, we want people to try to push this shit through blockchain because we'll catch them. We will catch them. And that's, and we have proof of what they've done. And to me, look, that speaks volumes. And you know, I am getting more excited about the pro crypto stance in the UK. UK is positioning themselves to potentially become, you know, the crypto capital of the world. Right? I mean, why go to Malta when the UK is going to legalize everything? They're not doing that yet. Don't get me wrong. But the fact is that they are on a potential path down that road, and it's a smart strategy because it brings money in. It allows you to potentially be the financial capital of the world if crypto blows up, right? And so it doesn't make sense to me why the Americans haven't figured this out. But
London's always been one of the financial capitals of the world. It's always been pretty much the top three, I would say. And they're also known as they're a big offshore banking hub.
Of course.
I mean, it's where a lot of the Russian money was.
Exactly.
So, and a lot, so is the US, don't get me wrong.
Right.
Probably even more so. But, I think like you said, there's a very nice niche here where they can play in kind of the offshore world, the nearshore world, in crypto now to make up for their losses in other areas. Now, I told you before, my experience with them on the regulatory side was amazing when I was there talking for that old client.
Right.
And, there's only one person to talk to. You don't have to deal with like 12 agencies. You deal with one person. This is 2018 and maybe early 2018, and they're very, very pro crypto then, but the laws weren't reflecting the attitude.
Right.
So now it seems like they've got it kind of in sync, which, London's a great city. I mean, it's a lot of fun and it's close to us. It's only a 5.5 hour haul from New York and maybe 7.5 from Miami.
True.
So it's a kind of a natural fit. And it's now with Brexit, it's isolated from everything else. So there's going to be a marketing angle there for European money in London too. So, and with Gibraltar as well as their sidekick and the Gibraltar exchange and all of their blockchain and crypto work, listings on the exchange, fractionalized assets. That's known as kind of a backdoor is not the right word, but it's sort of a funnel into the London, financial markets. And from Gibraltar, you can go, Frankfurt, Paris, and the German exchange. So, you could go from those three to Gibraltar to London. Yeah, I think this is very, very positive. Yeah,
definitely. You posted this, Rethinking Responsible Disclosure for Cryptocurrency Security. Stuart A. Baker, former Department of Homeland Security.
He was also general counsel of the NSA, and I didn't realize that until I
didn't either. Huh.
But look, it's going to be hard to summarize it, but he talks about how we need to up our game on cryptocurrency security. We have enough trouble with cybersecurity, but it's just different levels of issues here. Now, let me see if I can get to. He says, there's nothing more natural than for North Korea or Russian organized crime or privatized cyber spies to steal cryptocurrency to finance their national security operations. And he's talking about China and Iran. They'll always find it because that's what they're supposed to do. So basically, how do you then follow that? And how do you, chain analysis, and how do you have disclosures? This is a Lawfare article. So I guess what happened in security software is that whenever people made a mistake, at first, I guess they wouldn't allow patches and things like that. They just hid it. And then they made it to where everything could patch. So there's all the security researchers now that work hand in hand with, say, Windows or other ones to identify flaws and fix them. Well, I guess that doesn't happen in crypto, is his point. And in the bounties for smart contract.
I totally disagree. I'm reading through this as you're talking.
Okay, please. Go ahead.
And I totally look, he's focused on, I agree with him that responsible disclosure is important, but in comparing the cryptocurrency security measures versus the existing tech world, right? He talks about holes in Windows from 30 years ago, right?
Right. That's his first one. Yeah.
You can't even compare because in crypto, the entire community, when a hack happens, is on it immediately. Changes, fixes, work, tracking them down. All of that's happening within hours after news of an exploit, right? You want to send something to Microsoft or Apple or anybody else for a security fix, and you're looking at weeks or months before action is taken. I think the superpower of crypto as it relates to security is that everything is out in the open for everyone to see. We know how hacks happened. We see how they happened. Everybody learns from them. And there are methods for preventing them, right? So bounties, et cetera, that you were talking about. To me, this idea, yes, there are hacks and exploits that people have lost a lot of money that don't happen in TradFi right now. And yes, those things have to be worked on. But from my perspective, the only way to get there, the only way to build an open financial system like this is for us to have those things happen. Because as he notes at the beginning of the article, security is always a problem. But when it's hidden, the attackers who eventually find it can exploit it and clean people out over and over again. In the case of cryptocurrency, we defend against, we change, and we alter what we're doing rapidly to make things better. So I get his overall point that yes, exploits and security are a problem in crypto, just like they are in regular tech. But I think the fundamental difference here is that you don't have to call for disclosure because disclosure happens automatically, right? Every time.
It's interesting. You're right, because it's like an informal. Well, it's not out in plain sight. These guys are all operating in like the, Cloudflare and all the security, Counter-Strike type organizations, and they're seeing it all there, but they're not seeing this data because this is being resolved in different ways.
Right.
It's not being resolved in a centralized way, like most of these other ones are. Yeah, that makes total sense.
And look, I don't disagree with him that when an exploit is known, then people take advantage of it and pile on, and it gets worse in DeFi. I don't want to say that I don't understand that there are security risks. There are. But this idea that, what he's proposing is centralizing security for DeFi, and that's never going to happen. But what is happening is more and more groups, more and more teams of people are building databases together of common exploits, common smart contracts, tested and tried and true soft code, and making it safer. So I'll read the rest of this. I don't have a problem with responsible disclosure. I think protocols should all disclose the risks and the problems that could be inherent in code, but I think he needs a little deeper dive on what's possible.
Yeah, the last two sections, he talks about centralized security and decentralized rescue. So that might be where you could see some stuff. But I think that what it shows me is that it's not that one's better than the other, but this space is still growing. And when you've had 30 years to patch stuff, and the first 10 years in the commercial software, they wouldn't patch, they wouldn't do anything. And then now they patch, and then some, all that is a constant thing. So I get it, but I don't know if centralized security would ever work unless USDC is some component of that. I don't see how
it's silly.
It ever gets there.
I mean, he's trying to approach the problem and be open about what's possible in crypto. So I appreciate that. But his solutions are all, while trying to take into account how crypto works, are old school, right? Like here he wants the Justice Department to set up a wallet so that when white hat people rescue funds, they deposit it with the Justice Department. Well, we don't have any problems with white hat hackers returning the funds. They return them to the protocol, and the protocol returns it to the wallets that it was taken from. That's not a problem to be solved. That has already naturally happened in the culture of DeFi. So I don't know. Look, and the fact that somebody like him is diving into this is great to see, because it's a great sign. Like when people from the NSA and Homeland Security are saying, how do we make this safer? And how, I'm all for it.
Yeah, not is it a security or not? How do we make this safer? Yeah, that's the kind of stuff I like too.
I'm happy to see it.
These guys are always going to come at the problem from the giant systems perspective.
Yep.
So whereas we're kind of more on the other side of it, we're grassroots, we're out on the fringe and the edge. So we're more individualized and decentralized. But so when they look at stuff, it sounds, you're like, holy shit, because it's such coming from such a larger asset perspective,
right?
Almost like a different risk paradigm, whereas they're trying to take the risk out of everything, where we're like living with risk but trying to find the opportunities. And it's not necessarily a clash, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Because we can learn some things from those guys, or decentralized developers and security specialists can learn something from those, and they can learn a lot from the decentralized guys on how, more data points, more contributors, more decentralized is a strength vis-a-vis a centralized application. I think there's a lot to be learned here from both sides.
I agree. Totally agree.
But hey, let's put that link out there so people can read it.
I'll put it in the show notes. Definitely.
Thanks.
Definitely.
But there's a lot of chain analysis. One more final thing. There's a lot of chain analysis discussion in that article on the 30 million from the Axie Infinity hack. So put that one out too, because that shows how they're tracing stuff, and it has that Tornado Cash laundering model in there. Please.
Yeah. And I'm trying to find, I wish I'd been able to find it before the show. I'm going to find it and put it in the show notes, but there's a great quote in this Bloomberg piece by Matt Levine about Gary Gensler wants to regulate crypto. He's basically saying, Gary, you're full of shit. You haven't given any rules. You haven't given any guidelines. Everything you're saying may be true, but it's skirting the truth because you're not actually helping people. But there's a quote in there where I guess he's pulled the numbers and says, and when you look at the numbers, the people that you're prosecuting, a majority of them are actually legitimate projects that wanted help for regulation or disclosure, and you didn't get it, but you went after them anyway, instead of the scammers who are easy pickings for the SEC.
Well, you know why?
Of course, he wants to scare everybody out of it.
Oh, no, not that. But I mean, the legitimate projects are the ones that are still around.
Yeah.
The real hustles, the ripoffs, the steals, they're all gone.
Yeah, it's harder to get them.
So, yeah, it's harder to find them. It's harder for them to stay on the list. So the ones that are still grinding it out, they're the ones they see.
Yep.
I mean, I saw that article, was it Dragon ICO or something like that, where they did an ICO for, I think, $2.5 million, and their fine is $13.5 million. I'm like, dude, I mean, they must have raised more money than that.
Yeah,
because otherwise, why would you show up?
Exactly.
So to me, I think they need to be publicizing stories where the Dragon ICO raised $100 million and now they're all clean and straight for $13 million.
Yeah.
That's the story I would publish so people don't feel like they're going to get thrown in jail.
Yep.
Or bankrupted.
Binance BNB chain has launched ZK BNB, so zero knowledge proofs to improve scaling on BNB. Haven't taken a deep dive on it, but I think that is noteworthy. Currently has 5.4 billion in total value locked, a number 3 spot on all chains. Obviously, it helps for security. I think it helps for privacy and reduces fees, expense, and costs for working on the network. This was really interesting. So you remember the story about Kobe catching the fact that the guy at Coinbase was doing insider trading on the tokens? Remember that whole thing?
Oh, yeah. I didn't know Kobe found that.
Kobe's the one that found it. And he published it on Twitter. And Coinbase reached out to him and asked him for help. And he gave him all the information, helped him out. And then they asked him specifically not to say certain things, right? And this putz, where is it? This guy, Pete J. Kim, that works at Coinbase.
What an idiot.
Decides to accuse Kobe of being basically getting paid to go after Coinbase. And Kobe's like, you want to go down this road? He goes, I'm fine leaking the stuff. I got asked not to. If you're going to attack my integrity, maybe ask your boss first. So I have a feeling Pete Kim might be out of a job today.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe he probably is. Because it's like, there's just peak stupid in this space sometimes. Like,
is that a Pinocchio nose on him?
Yeah.
So why the fuck would you? I don't know. Doesn't that make you look like a liar?
Yeah, of course. Anyway.
Advising Ox, Polygon, Envoy, Apple, Vicky, led Coinbase wallet and built USDC. He built USDC. That's impressive. He's the only one.
Who knows if he's full of shit or not? Kobe says, would it be kind of fun to nuke everyone? Happy to be given a reason. I mean, it's just stupid. Just fucking stupid. Like, so you're obviously this accomplished dev who's done some pretty amazing shit. And then you're going to pull some stupid thing like this. I don't understand people.
You had a great message going with joins the lawsuit about the tornado cash sanctions against OFAC or FinCEN. That's the story.
That's a great
part of the community. Hey, we're centralized because we have to be, but we're part of crypto. And then you come out and start attacking people with this shit. I mean, that's just, I'd fire this guy in a second.
Yep. I agree. So some of the documents that came out of the Biden administration, you remember
I heard about this,
how we've said, how I've ranted a little bit, just a little bit about Bitcoin maxis being too stupid for their own good, too proudful, too egotistical for their own good. In terms of when it came, I might've said that a couple of times, and I'm not including Sean in this group, by the way. But in terms of when the Biden administration and previous to that, regulatory actions were happening and everybody in the space was mobilizing, a segment of Bitcoin maxis said, fuck you, crypto, Ethereum, everybody else. We're going to lobby not only to protect Bitcoin, but we're also going to lobby for the government to go after Ethereum. And people like, who's the Michael Saylor? Have been saying this publicly. The founder of Swan Bitcoin has been saying this publicly calling on the federal government to crack down on Ethereum for securities laws, right? As well as other cryptos in the space. I said at the time, you're going to regret this shit, because if you think the federal government and people in the federal government are not going to find a reason to come after Bitcoin, you're a complete fucking idiot. You're just idiots, right? They had the opportunity to join together with the rest of the Bitcoiners and the rest of crypto and fight from a lobbying perspective, unify the money, unify the messaging, explain how things work, and don't have them come, at least give yourself a firewall. Instead, here's what happened. What's one of the highlights of the OSTP report yesterday? The horrible climate impact of Bitcoin mining.
I know, I saw that. And they're talking about like shutting it down in the US or something, or capping it at 33%. I mean, just stupid. That'll never come out. That's going to be
old line. They came for they came for the Jews, but I wasn't Jewish, so I didn't care. It's like
and it goes down the list until the end. They're coming for everybody.
Exactly.
I mean,
this Troy Cross, who I'd never read before, actually has some good points that, look, all of this data coming out of the Biden administration, this is an opportunity for everybody in crypto, Bitcoin, ETH, everybody to act. They're giving us a blueprint.
Shape the policy. Yeah.
They're giving us a blueprint. They're saying, these are the things we're concerned about, educate us or give us some alternative policy, right? So we have an opportunity right now to address every concern out of all the reports coming out of the federal government for the Biden administration. This would be the time to get off your ass and get engaged in politics. If it's nothing more than making a donation to the Blockchain Association, Coin Center, whomever, this right now is the time, because we have a golden friggin' opportunity, thanks to the Biden administration, to help shape the policy, because they're giving us an opportunity to do it. And you can choose not to be engaged, but don't be surprised when Bitcoin's mining is banned.
Yeah, I like what Troy says at the bottom there. Don't scroll. Hats off to because he says, look, it's not quite there, but it's a good start. But he says, hats off to the civil servants and scientists who learned a whole new field in a matter of months and did their level best in a sea of information with everyone bag pumping to inform policy. It's hard this is like one person in the White House or a couple interns and a person writing a report. Okay.
Right.
This is not like Biden saying, hey, where's that report I wanted?
Exactly.
And then this gets written, everybody haggles, it bubbles up, and somebody tries to do something policy-wise to guide industry. But it just shows that things are progressing. I mean, that's what I love. Remember 2 years ago? I mean, you wouldn't come close to stuff like this. And, as far as what we said about the BTC maxis and ETH, two things. One, I mean, it's such an undercutting argument for yourself because, ETH was proof of work at the time too. Two, maybe they did a securities offering. I don't know, but I think we've already determined they're not a security. And I think they already paid their fine. So they aren't at this point.
Right.
So you can't get the whomever to now go after Ethereum again. Plus, that's consensus. That's all those people and all their money.
Yeah.
And they'll fight it. So move on at that point. But look, I saw parts of that report too, and I was like, well, that's not good. That's not good. But again, the fact that they're even writing a report and it's not, the first thing isn't ban everything, is an improvement to me.
Exactly.
So now, like you said, Brad, correctly, it's time for everybody to marshal their energy and, crowdsource, open source, contribute Wikipedia up this report so that we get it the right way.
Exactly.
The way we want it.
Exactly.
So,
that's
and why it's important. If this is an American perspective report, so it has to be, why is it good for our future from a nation state competition standpoint?
Yep.
So I'm sure we'll pull it off.
Absolutely. I hope so. I really hope so. Need to wrap up here shortly. I got a call in 9 minutes. This was an interesting chart I just wanted to pop up. Internet adoption versus crypto adoption mapped out in total users. So according to this, we're right at about 1998.
Oh,
that's
good. That was a very, those upcoming years were very, very, very good for me.
Oh, they were good for me. Very good.
So let's do a replay of that.
Right here was the house for cash.
Yeah. I'm thinking about all that's Georgetown. There's, the Matha vacations in French wine country, and I'm driving around in some luxe ride, with, wow, that was fun times, man. Most of that money is gone. So
yeah,
we need to replenish it.
I paid when the company budget paid, not my company, the company I was bought by, paid for first class flights and hotel accommodations around the world. It was I was on the road too much, but it was fun.
Unfortunately, all that money, got to 2008 and everybody got their hat handed to them. But yeah, those were good years. That was kind of my favorite time. I mean, I look back on that as probably that 95 to 2001-ish time frame was when I just had the most fun. It made the most money too. Those were DC years. Well, 95 was Atlanta and the rest was DC.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good times, man.
Oh, I didn't look at this yet, so I don't want to talk about it. That's all I got today, Joe. I'm good.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I do want to talk about in the future. I had one of my I was dialoguing.
Did I miss one of your things?
What?
Did I miss one of your?
No.
Okay.
It was a tweet thing that I was talking about stables with someone about algorithmic and real world assets and this and that. And how would they compared it to Terra? What would you say? What does Sam say that the algorithmic difference is between Terra and Trax?
He's talked about that directly, but I can't quote him at the moment.
That wouldn't be in that episode 26 on Mission DeFi, because that was before all of this.
That was
so
before.
He wouldn't say it.
Yeah, that was before.
Yeah, no, I was just told him I would try to bring it up today, but I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some complex differences, or it wouldn't. I mean,
speaking of stable coins, I want to encourage everyone to go listen to episode 71 of Mission DeFi, now up at missiondefi.com.
Yeah, that looks like a good one.
It's a good one. It's a really good interview. We got into, how do the group of them, the founders, separate themselves from it now that they've doxed themselves? How do they avoid what they really wanted to avoid, which is why they were anonymous, being seen as the leaders of the protocol?
Yeah.
How difficult is that? When we got off the interview, I said to him, I said, look, I know you don't like this. And I know, I know your goal is to get out of it and not be the face of it. But right now, I think Bean needs it. I think Bean needs somebody publicly out talking about Bean every chance it gets. And he is so good at this. Like, he's an awesome communicator. I'm like, I know you hate doing it, but I think for the next 3 to 6 months, you should be hitting every freaking podcast, every show, every video and talking up Beanstalk and integrations with partners. Because look at the model for Sam Kazemian, right? Sam wants to decentralize, but that isn't like the core of his pitch. The core of his pitch is, I'm a big brain guy. I'm working with an amazing team to evolve this tech, and I am out there talking every day on shows and to partners about integrating and using Frax. What Bean needs most of all right now is use. It needs integrations. It needs people churning through Bean. It needs the debt getting eaten away. And that, to me, is key to its future. It's just absolutely key.
What do you think, I'm not as deep in Bean, but what do you think ideal collaboration, strategic partnerships are for Bean?
Dude, I would start off with the low-hanging fruit. Like, get it listed on every DEX, get it used in every yield farm, get it put in every staking protocol, get it, added to every wallet. Yeah, I mean, just the simple partnership shit, right? Like,
are there any
get my name on your site, on your tool, on your app?
Yeah. Do you see a way for the tech to sort of underpin other protocols in a sense
absolutely.
of like a white label application, or
not a white label? They need to maintain the brand as the integration, but if you look at what Root's doing, Root's building on top of Beanstalk silos, right? Which are for building a prediction market, which all of the prediction markets have basically failed until now. And the thesis that Publius talks about in the interview is that the model, the way Beanstalk is built, actually makes a prediction market doable compared to because the competition for prediction markets, it's Vegas, right? And so competing against fiat and Vegas is incredibly difficult. But the potential, and he talks about it quite a bit in the interview, the potential for utilizing Beanstalk and the protocols pieces for that kind of a market is very strong. I think there are a ton of methods. I would love to see them doing things like integrating with the people that are doing external stuff, like Brew Money, the easy to use newbies wallet, right? Put Bean in there. That would be something that'd be appealing to that group, right? Put access to some of the farms and yield capabilities. So,
do you think? Let me ask a question. So when I look at
partner.
Yeah, no. What I'm trying to get at, one more aspect here. So when we take a look quickly, when we talk about Spirit or something like that, if you're doing integration with Spirit, would it just be the token and liquidity pools, or can the Bean technology be used some way to either generate a new product for them on the DEX, or for other protocols like Olympus or Climb, are those somehow managed treasury holdings? Is it another play there? I just don't know it as well as you.
They're, like I said, they're just like Root protocols using the silos for a product. Yes, there are a number of ways people can utilize the protocol pieces to build products. It won't be on Spirit Swap until Spirit Swap is on Ethereum, because right now Bean is Ethereum only.
Okay, I was just using, because I was thinking about how that was just the first one that came to my head.
But there are all kinds of ways for them to utilize the protocol and integrate with other protocols, right? And I would encourage them to put some of the development resources into how do we integrate now and do, use cases with some of these other partners. So anyway,
why don't you cut us a deal to go put some partnerships together for them?
Well, I'll see what I can do. I think they have a biz dev team working on it in the
one thing you got to remember with these guys is that when the shit hit the fan and it went bad, they did not ducktail and run away.
No,
they stuck around and fixed it and kept going. And
not only that, they put their asses on the line. Yeah.
They what? Yeah.
They put their asses on the line. I mean, he says in the interview, people know where I live.
So anybody, that's horrible. So if anybody listening can see ways to use this in your protocol, please reach out direct. What's his name?
Well, Publius. I don't use his stock's name anymore now.
No, I meant what's his handle? Yeah,
Publius. Hey, listen, I got to drop, buddy. I got to 1 o'clock.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Niblets, James, thank you so much for being here and participating. We appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We love and appreciate the time you allocate to us every day. We are so grateful. If you get a chance, please rate or review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps boost our signal. And please go listen to the Beanstalk episode and other episodes at missiondefi.com. Thank you very much, Joe. Have a great day. I'll catch you guys later.
You too, buddy. Thanks, everyone.